Hi guys, Kimberly here. I'm in the middle of my kitchen multitasking, cooking for my pets, cooking for me, and cleaning up. And I thought, you know what, let me make this video because I keep thinking about doing it and I never get around to doing it. So if I'm looking behind me, I'm checking on the oven and the stove and things that I'm hearing behind me. Okay, so I want to get this going because I wanted to do a follow-up about everything that was going on with my health. And I want to help everybody. And someone did personally write me, which I'm really happy about, to ask me about my symptoms, their symptoms. Checking on that. Okay. So I want to follow up with you about my swollen lymph node in my groin. And I can't believe I've waited this long. It's been a couple months since I did my last video. I personally didn't think there was anything wrong with my lymph nodes, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so it turned out, I'll tell you why I didn't think there was, and then I'll let you know that the lymph node was benign. Everything was fine with that. Normally, from what I understand and what I've studied and what I've read, if you have lymphoma or any kind of cancer in lymph nodes, generally it's not going to be concentrated to one area of your body. That's as far as I know. I might have to do a little more research on that. But generally, when you get lymphoma, you have swollen lymph nodes in different areas of your body, wherever lymph nodes are concentrated, which is generally under the armpit, in your groin, in your neck. There might be some other areas that I'm unaware of, but when you have lymphoma, those areas are what are swollen. With the lymph nodes get swollen. Now, if you have an infection in your lymph node, obviously that could be concentrated to a certain area. I think, if I'm not mistaken, certain STDs can cause lymph node swelling in your groin. So, if you are a woman or a man and you have swelling in your lymph nodes of your groin, I would definitely be checked out for STDs. Don't be embarrassed about it. Don't be worried about it. Just go get a test, because the sooner you go get a test, the sooner you can get a treatment, and the sooner you'll be on your way to good health. People get so embarrassed and so worried about going to their doctors for things that are maybe sexually transmitted or things like that. You have to get tested and you have to get checked. And I'll tell you a story about that later in another video. Quickest and best thing you can do is to go to your doctor, get diagnosed, get a treatment, and get on your way to good health. That's the most important thing in life. Okay, so the reason I didn't think that I had a groin issue, or I should say, I'm going to keep that in there. I'm not even going to edit that out. A groin issue, a lymph node issue in my groin. And I think I'm going to fix this camera. There we go. A little too close up. For my taste anyway. Okay, so I had swollen lymph nodes in one area. I also had soreness and pain. And I still do. I also had a lymph node that was movable. That's another thing with cancer. Generally, cancerous lymph nodes are not movable. They're usually very hard and very firm, and they don't move. So why did I wind up getting the biopsy? Because they were there in the ultrasound, and doctors want to make sure. And personally, the biopsy should have been done 5 years ago. I think I mentioned that in my first video, because the lymph nodes were swollen then. These doctors waited forever. Nobody instructed me to get a biopsy, and also nobody diagnosed me properly. What did I think was wrong with me? The thing that I thought that I had wrong with me, besides all the other crap in my life going on with my health, that's another story, was that I thought that I had a hernia. Okay? An inguinal hernia. That's what I thought I had from all of my symptoms. Now, I discussed this with several doctors. The very first ultrasound I did in 2014 or 2015 indicated that I had an inguinal hernia. But they didn't physically see a hernia. There was no lump. So they told me that's not a hernia. People, let me educate you. Women can get these lovely things called hidden hernias. Hidden, meaning you don't see them from the outside, but they are there. And usually, the most painful hernias are these hidden hernias. Because why? Why would that be? Because the hernia is torn muscle. And even though it's not popping out of your body and you don't see it from the outside, the muscle tear is still there inside. And the further inside the hidden hernia / tear is, the closer it's going to be towards vital organs and nerves. Your nerves are where you feel pain. If you are a woman and you have something called an inguinal, or the word is inguinal, or femoral hernia, they're two different kinds of hernias. You guys can look them up. However, they're deciphered because an inguinal is a little bit higher, still in the groin area. The femoral is lower down towards the pelvis. When I studied this, and I'm not a doctor, just learning about anatomy like any of us can, I thought I had a femoral hernia. I asked 3 doctors. No, they said, you don't have a hernia. And one of them said, you have an inguinal hernia. Ultrasound said I have an inguinal hernia, but my symptoms, and looking at the chart and looking at pictures and looking at my body, and I wish I could show you, but I'm not because it's very, very low to the pelvic area. Every single thing that I'm thinking in my mind that I was physically seeing on my body told me this was a femoral hernia. The doctors were telling me otherwise. Like, how can this be? How can they be wrong? Well, they're doctors, right? They go to school for between 5 and 10 years. So who do you think I'm going to assume would be right? Them. Guess what, guys? I was right. Now, my last ultrasound stated that I have an inguinal hernia. But guess what? 3 days ago, I went with my mother, who's 76 years old, to her doctor, who is a general surgeon. She was going there for a whole different situation, something with her thyroid. And she says, I'm going to ask him if he'll take a look at your possible hernia. Not only did he take a look at it, he did an ultrasound for me right there in the office. And how funny that the ultrasounds that I've had done at my hospital where I go for my scans, takes them 20 minutes to do ultrasounds. I mean, they're going over the area and over the area. It's 20 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. He did an ultrasound on me that literally took 30 to 45 seconds. And within 30 to 45 seconds, he said to me, oh, you have a femoral hernia. I said, what? Femoral or inguinal? He said, femoral. I said, that is exactly what I thought. But my doctors are telling me otherwise. He goes, well, I don't know what they're telling you, but you have a femoral hernia. So you guys, for the last 5 years, what I thought was wrong with me was actually the correct diagnosis. And why do I believe this doctor over the other ones? He's, number one, very sure of himself. Number two, he's older than the doctor that I saw, which was a surgeon, which means he has many, many more years of experience. He's done multiple surgeries on all kinds of areas of the body. He's a general surgeon. So he has knowledge of this. He's done many femoral hernia surgeries, and this is what it is. Now, if you guys want to look up information on femoral hernias, I would definitely tell you to do that for sure so you can learn. And also look up hidden hernias in women. Usually the femoral hernias in women are the hidden hernias. Sometimes they can also be inguinal. I'm not 100% sure if they can also be midline hernias, if those can be hidden, but I don't see why it's not possible. So I'm just letting you guys know that I was correct in my self-diagnosis. All you got to do is learn about the body, trust what you're feeling, trust what you're thinking. Now, I am not a person that thinks that I have every illness under the sun. I think I've got 3 different illnesses. I have fibromyalgia and or Ehlers-Danlos, which is a hypermobility syndrome. I've done some videos on that. I'm going to do some more. I think, and I again have been undiagnosed, that I have something called non-24. It's a circadian rhythm disorder. Very, very, very uncommon in people that are sighted. Very common, not very common, but common in people that are blind. I'm not blind. I have a high sensitivity to sunlight. Sorry about that. I was going to pause this, but I don't want to. So hold on. Give me 1 second. That's my cue. Can you guys believe I'm making chicken and pasta for my dogs? Yes. They eat dog food too. Don't worry. I eat it too. But anyway, I have news for you. Their digestion is much better when I give them human food. It's not greasy. I do it very low fat for them, and I also give them enzymes and vitamins. Put this pasta in. Maybe next I'll do a cooking video. Give me 1 second here. Oh, I am going to do, I have a channel for pets I'm starting called Animal Talk. I'm going to talk about a lot of things besides what I feed them. A lot of different things. I'm going to talk about illnesses. By the way, I'm going to talk to you about rare illnesses that animals have that your vet might not talk to you about. See, what we as humans go through, same thing that animals go through. And if you're uneducated about things that your pet might have, you're going to be in trouble with your animals. They're going to get sick too, and they're going to be suffering, and they can't talk to you. Well, mine talk to me. Anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is that we all live within our bodies. We know when something's not right. There are a lot of people out there that are not in touch with their bodies. They just work, or taking care of their kids, or running here, running there, and they're not tuned into their bodies. But if you were having physical pain, you would recognize that you have pain, and I would think that you might ask yourself, what's wrong? What's causing this pain? Sometimes you go to a doctor, they don't diagnose you properly. Whose fault is that? Well, the doctors are probably uneducated and unaware. They think sometimes in a little box. They don't think out of the box. They're not studying new things. These quote-unquote femoral hidden hernias probably are not that common. However, every doctor should know that women's bodies are different than men. A hernia that we get is much different than a hernia that a man gets. They should be aware of that. That's what I think. I mean, I'm just a lay person. I haven't gone to medical school, but I've studied the body and I understood that something is wrong, and I have chronic pain. The lymph nodes showed to be pretty normal in my last ultrasound. And anyway, they were benign anyway. And also, lastly, what I want to tell you, and I asked 5 doctors about this, 5. I asked them off the top of my head, can inguinal lymph nodes swell up if you have an inguinal hernia? They all said no. Guess what, guys? Yes, they can. They can swell up when you have a femoral hernia. They can swell up when you have an inguinal hernia. That's what lymph nodes do. They swell up because your body is trying to rush new, fresh blood supply into the injured area. And what is a hernia? An injured area. I asked the surgeon about this, the surgeon that took out my lymph node biopsy. He says, no, he says lymph nodes have nothing to do with a hernia. When yes, they do. So he was wrong there too. So I'm just letting you guys know, trust your bodies. When something is wrong, ask questions. When something is wrong, go to Google. Read. And I don't care if the doctors tell you not to read. That's a bunch of BS. They want to tell you that because they don't want to be wrong, because their egos are going, I got to feed my dogs. But I just want to tell you guys, if you have any issues with anything that I've discussed tonight, write me. I'd love to connect with you. I'd love to be the voice for you. If you want me to make you a specific video just for you, to educate your doctors who might not be listening to you, write me and I'll do that for you. I will talk straight to that doctor for you. That's what I should do, is be a patient advocate, because so many doctors these days are not listening, and it really pisses me off. And there's a lot of stories out there of people that have died of cancer because their doctors didn't listen to them. So for something as mediocre, or I should say mediocre, but not life-threatening like a hernia, I mean, I would think they would understand that this is pain. I live in pain. And now I have to go figure out, do I want to have surgery on this? And I'm going to talk to you guys about that next time, because there's risks to surgery and it might not help. So we'll discuss this. I got to cook my pasta. Doggies are hungry. Please write me. Please write me. Please write me. Subscribe, because I'm going to do a lot more channels on different other health concerns. Tell people about the videos. This is not for me. This is because I want to reach out to you and help you guys. I want to be an advocate for patients that are suffering. I want to be a voice for people whose doctors aren't listening. We need to be heard. We've got problems that need to be fixed. There's no reason why you should go through life suffering and pain or discomfort or, God forbid, dying of cancer just because your doctor didn't listen. So please subscribe, please share this video, and please write me if you have any questions or you want me to be your advocate. Have a good one.